Okay, some activity. As you can see, I've done what I said I was going to do. That Richard Evans has posted an interesting article on transhumanism, his viewpoints, and some I agree with actually. Some either here or there, I don't know, but that's okay. This is not something that doesn't back itself up because transhumanism is a real thing when you consider biotech industry and uh, artificial eyes and things like this. It happens like the cyborg community out there. There is such a thing as a thing called, if I can recall, let me check. Cyborg Foundation is a real thing. It's a group of people communicating with each other, uh, making friends, and so on. Since 2010, it was created by cyborg activist and artist Moon Ribas and Neil Harbison. It's these individuals have modifications, if you will, and things like you could say you're a cyborg if you have a artificial hand and that is controlled by different things, like you're actually thinking the movement and it moves. That kind of technology is available now, expensive, yes, but very I wouldn't say very new, but the latest is very new, but very prolific in its advances here and there. People are learning more and more about this, particularly when you got bio-integrated the chip in your brain kind of stuff as well. Interesting, right? And it's certainly going to be more and more of a thing as we progress in our evolution. At some point, you'll be able to think words and they'll be typed out on the screen for you. If not already, but I know that sounds like science fiction, and I made a point about that with people's mindset is stuck in the 80s and 90s thinking, when I made a phrase about, I mentioned information is increasingly going to be currency. Some people, believe it or not, got a hard time wrapping their mind around that, and although the implications of that spin off to a vaster subject on its simplistic level, on layman ways of looking at it, is very simple. It's very simple, but there is a whole other bigger picture to that as well. Information is the new currency. So thank you, Richard, for your addition, your collaboration and interaction at exploratoryminds.com. See, if you join, you will get the shout-outs. I've said this many times, although it hasn't happened a lot because we only have a piddly small... I don't know, that sounds derogative. I don't mean that as in derogative against the members. It's very small group. I want it to grow. Richard said he may unpublish the article a bit and edit it a bit more and then republish because he thought he wasn't clear about certain things. That's fine. When he is absolutely ready, I'll put the links below a future video or something. But it was an interesting read nevertheless. Again, thank you, Richard. So he's interacting. The project's getting it a bit more interactively here and there. Certainly during times like lockdown, like the first restrictions we had in the UK, we had a bit more. The activity of the website went up because nobody had anything much else to do, and the progress of the website went up because I didn't have much else to do at the time. But what you're seeing now is the fruits of that labour. I like the site the way it is at the moment, despite crashing it a bit back here, trying some experiments. Now, collaboration and leaning away from confirmation bias is a thing for exploratory minds. Everyone's going to have bias, right? But if you do have a bias, base it on, give reasons for it, particularly when your accusations seem a little bit defamatory against certain people, maybe, perhaps, or certain ideas. We like to attack the idea, not the person, which is always a non sequitur philosophy as well, and I support that. That's kind of in our terms and conditions. Don't attack the people, attack the idea. Do not try to convert others in a kind of stalkish way as well to an idea. Of course, Steve McRae and Kyle Curtis were the two people running Non Sequitur, right? And Kyle did this hostile takeover. And we all know the story behind that. If you don't, it's not entirely important for this individual video, but it is very important on its own. People who are very socially dysfunctional are that way because they're not trying to fix it. The internet is a honeypot for socially dysfunctional people because rather than dealing with their dysfunction, they rather convince themselves they still got power and control in society by putting their hate through the internet, because they're full of hate because they don't like other people who are socially functional and successful, and hate is driven towards that. It's pathetic. If you don't like somebody, move the fuck on and look for somebody you can collaborate with and help you. But it doesn't work like that. Nobody helps you if you're in denial of your issues and you'd rather believe a fantasy of superiority. That's Kyle Curtis. Very dysfunctional. There's also haters against people like Steve because he's socially successful via what he's doing on the internet, because he surrounds himself with people more knowledgeable. Typically, he would want to, from what I've seen, surround himself with people more knowledgeable than him. I've seen disagreements, and it's not argument disagreements. It's like, here's my viewpoint as to why this and that, whatever subject, and Steve could be talking about something and somebody else would say, well, I disagree on that because here's my viewpoint, and there's nothing wrong there between the two. And it's socially functional to agree to disagree, actually, or perhaps debate. That's functional. What's not functional is accusing each other, right, of being a certain way just because you don't like their viewpoint, and using hateful words and so on, and claiming something is a certain way only because the drive for that rhetoric is from hating that person rather than the drive to actually find out what is actually true about the situation. So I commented on Twitter. You know what Twitter's like. It's a shitstorm after most of the time. Last night before bed, woke up this morning and seeing somebody full of that hate and anger just because Steve and his friends are socially functional and they will have disagreements, but they will check each other with that erroneous, tribalistic angriness that can come up in people here and there, and encourage reasoning and critical thinking, because really 70% of the time we are not critical thinking creatures unless we have the insight to check it as we go. You think something about a certain person, and you think, is that really true? Am I being paranoid? Let's go over and watch and get out of your own way of the hate interpretation and just see the data for what it is. Yeah? Rather than emotionally being butthurt over somebody else's success, and then you don't like that person because you're jealous of them, perhaps. Cool, that word jealousy, accusing people of being jealous, that's really gonna drive them nuts. Some people, particularly the one this is targeted at, because I can imagine this guy bashing his keyboard in hate with his opinion that you'll see in a minute, and his opinion based on nothing, no evidence whatsoever. I've said it over and over time. It's a mantra. I will keep repeating it, and I have kept repeating it. Who, what, why, when, and where. Who said something? Why do you think they said it? When? And where on the internet, perhaps, or where in a physical location? Who, what, why, when, and where. Certainly when, because dates are important for chronological consistency, rather than claiming somebody said something after they said something else when it was really before, and so on. You need coherency. We've seen how Jason Smith fucks all that up because he's not paying attention to that, because he doesn't care, because he doesn't like somebody, therefore he's going to make up a load of bullshit about them just so that in his mind, he can get one up notch, ride that person's coattails, that person's success, that he's jealous of that person's success. He keeps repeating community, the word community, the community, as if he's part of a community, when in reality, any sane person who has a group of people will never condone him being in their presence in their community. He's not invited because he's an idiot. For shits and giggles, if you type unirock at exploratoryminds.com on the social pages, you get a different word. I've forgotten what it is. I think it was just idiot or something or other. It automatically changes it. Regardless, let me scroll over. So we got this. It's a bit squashed, and I just wanted to fit it in. I suppose we could. I'll read it to you anyway. Yeah, we do that. Because we had this very foolish individual who is projecting, claiming that they're being gaslighted. Well, they're gaslighting. We see the projection all the time. Again, it's because they're not fixing themselves inside. So if you're not looking inside, there's no inside. You're not seeing what's causing your actions and what's colouring your worldview from inside outward. So you're going to accuse people of things that is really only true about yourself, right? And so this one was slating Steve and Manya, or the whole group, mainly Manya, I think. Am I pronouncing that right? I call you Golden Unicorn. I don't want to mispronounce it. So had a response, because Steve was being accused of narcissistic. Would a narcissistic individual make effort to surround himself with people like Landon Kurt Knoll, Dr. Garrett and Merriam? These are highly intelligent people, and I'd love to see Dr. Garrett Merriam on it again, because the artificial intelligence stuff is, I really liked Richard's article as well. The artificial intelligence, transhumanism, biointegrated technologies, all these things is interesting. Regardless, getting back on track, a narcissistic individual would actually be, I think, I actually think they would be scared of doing that, surrounding themselves with smarter people than them, because they would see through their bullshit. Alright? Whereas Steve's not afraid to be wrong about certain things, which is why he seeks out individuals smarter than himself. So they share information, he can learn certain things. That's what his whole effort for using the internet is for, particularly YouTube. He wants to create platforms where it's an opportunity for everyone to learn something new from each other in a consistent manner that's not based on bullshit, but based on truth. Truth runs in a straight line. Bullshit goes all over the place, right? So I said Steve is one of the least narcissistic people I know. Now, I think there's narcissism, a thread of it in everyone, different degrees, but when it gets obvious and out of hand, like Kyle Curtis, for instance, then you need mental therapy. Kyle's only liking you, I think, because he's done drugs and he's been desensitized to lower doses of a dopamine hit when he's achieved something. Therefore, he's looking for it on a much higher level, sucking up to people who just say, "Oh, you're looking good today," or "You're great," this and that, and they're actually just people who don't really care. They're haters and trolls using him as a tool just to get at Steve. That's what's been happening. But now look at where that's got him, right? Prison and jail is on the cards for sure. And that's big time dysfunctionality there, not solved because he won't admit he's got this issue. So, at least narcissistic people I know on YouTube, he makes, this is where I'm talking at the top, an effort to surround himself with people of equal and higher intelligence than himself. Something a narcissist would fear doing. He doesn't dismiss those who are clearly not equal or higher either, because he's a very caring and charitable individual, but he dismisses hate based on nothing but, "Oh, I don't like the person, therefore I'm going to cry like a baby and throw the toys out the pram" kind of mentality. That's why you're doing this on the internet, because people won't put up with your shit in person. That's why the internet is a honeypot for this dysfunction. This is why the internet's also a honeypot for narcissistic individuals as well, who will seek that praise when it's unjustified. The types of people who have Facebook pages with selfie after selfie after selfie, hundreds of them. I've seen profiles like that. I'm not immune to taking a selfie, but they don't, it's all about them and their opinion. Fuck anyone else. If there's somebody else that they don't like, they're gonna make up a load of bullshit that is echoed from other haters just because, not because of evidence, but because you don't like them. That's it. So I said this, and Euron Greyjoy on Twitter said, "That's such fucking bullshit." Well, that's a bit nasty already, isn't it? couldn't you politely say I disagree because of, and then cite your source and evidence? No, because you're driven by the hate. Like I said, an echo chamber of other people as well who hate certain individuals, and you're just going to use that to downplay anything that is talked about. In this case, talked about Steve in a positive light. Now, it doesn't mean I agree with everything Steve comes out with. I've got my own thinking mind, my own opinions out there. You know, I think personal opinion. I think it can be boring to go on and on about definition of atheism. I kind of like with Red's rhetoric on that, but that's okay. I'm not gonna hate Steve just because he does that. That's his thing. I do actually understand why he does it as well. You know, I kind of get it, but it's. I think for some time he was quite naive about expecting some atheist groups out there to be more intelligent, but they're just a bunch of closed-minded individuals. And big time, the quieter ones are really the more open-minded ones. I think it's ironic, isn't it? Because of dysfunction and hate, these individuals make a lot of noise. Okay, it drains out noise to signal ratio. So that's fucking bullshit. He said he's surrounded by lickspittles. I didn't know what lickspittles was. I don't hear this term. It's the first time I heard this term. So I went and looked it up. And a lickspittle is a way to flatter, but a dumb person who flatters somebody else sucks up to them. Now, dumb people flattering Unirock. Now that's there's a thing. Menace to Sobriety is clearly more simple than Jason Smith, always known as Unirock, clearly. And his shit is being called out left, right, and centre. His days are numbered on YouTube unless he learns to grow the fuck up and do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And that would be actually research if he wanted to be a researcher on any subject matter. And actually make an effort to keep your timelines correct. And actually try to seek facts rather than make up a load of bullshit just because somebody stood in your way temporarily. You went for Steve big time because Steve was it wasn't so much because Steve told him he's got something wrong. It's more to do with the fact that Steve didn't want to do a collaboration. Jason does a video, Steve does a video, blah blah blah. No. Steve already had a set of information ready to be delivered to Unirock. Unirock was supposed to analyse it and put it out critically and sensibly. But no, that hurt Jason's fifis because he's a narcissistic prick who wants video after video after video to make it look like to weak-minded individuals that he's worth something. He's actively researching and he's bring out a banger video, right, Jason? You fucking loser. Seriously. Totally pathetic. And he went for Steve over a year. It's been over a year now. Wow. Just because, yes, he tried to tell him he got something wrong. But more to the point is, it was Steve's desire to how to go about things was in the way of Unirock's desire to how to go about things. Steve's desire to go about things was more sensible because he had the information, but Jason didn't care. He wanted to. We'll see. I might get some things wrong. You might get something wrong. We'll see how it all ends up at the end of it. No, that's not how it works because you're walking all over the original intent there. Jason, you're clearly not socially functional. And a perfect example of what I'm not going to keep repeating it, but rewind a bit, yeah. So I've said to this individual who put out their hate statement, care to back up your claims in details, state who's saying what, and who's done what, state what was said, why it was said, in what context. That's one thing haters will try to twist. The paranoia here and there sometimes is taking bits of information out of the context it was originally in and putting it into a derogative context deliberately to defame and frame people and say, see, here's the evidence, when it's always clear, more often than not clear then, that things are taken way out of context. He had to get someone to mediate because he flipped out over being corrected live on air. Go and ask him. See if I'm like, no, if you got the right information, if you are making the accusation, then you should have the proof. Otherwise, you're just blatantly making shit up on the spot and lying. Why? Oh, because you don't like Steve. Welcome to the world. You can't like everyone. I'm not a worshipper of Steve. I like what he does. I think it's a great idea. And Steve wouldn't be where he is without the wonderful efforts with those people that he sought out as well, though. And I know he knows that. That's not to be derogative against Steve, because I know he knows that. And he has his core team that has stayed around a lot. This whole bullshit with non sequitur as well has been beneficial because it's rooted out these haters over time, because it's bait for them. They were all over it because they see social function rather than social dysfunction, and they don't like it because, how come that person can do this and that and I can't? Deal with it. Look inside yourself and deal with it. I've dealt with my own dysfunctions here and there. I've done pretty well over the last 3 years, I think. I know my limits, and everyone has their limits. You don't beat yourself up over that. You just push yourself a little bit, yes, outside of your comfort zone, but not so often that it's going to make you give up. And then just blame the world. It's not you, it's the rest of the world. Fuck that shit. Because you're part of the problem of so many things with that kind of attitude in the world. So, you're on Greyjoy? Fuck off and grow a pair. Really? Just grow up. Peace out, everyone. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to doing another video soon. Bye.